Okay, so hopefully this works. It's been a while since I've tried to do this, so we'll see how it goes. Um, so the first thing you need to do is just log into your EdCloud, go to schoolnet. Something about the website, it is not very user friendly and pretty confusing to navigate, and it also takes a ton of time to like load between screens. So it's definitely something that you should probably like set up pretty far in advance. Um, so when you're on your dashboard, you can see all different kinds of just tools they have. They have the calendar, your classroom assessment monitor. So if you do manage to give tests through EdCloud, you can kind of track it all here. You can go to reports and it can break down all the assessment things by that way as well. Um, Before you can assign an assessment on here, you actually have to go through and create it. So if you go, I guess I'll show you how to create an assessment first. It's kind of something that you have to play around with to kind of get the feel for how it works. And you can see, like, I mean, it takes a while for everything to come through. But I always go through and name mine by a specific standard. So I need one for 4.NF7 anyway. That is looking at decimals. So click math or whatever subject you're doing, fourth grade, you have to put an answer for all of these boxes or I won't let you go to the next screen. There we go. So you can put restrictions on it if you want, go through the test settings. One thing that I'm not very familiar with is somehow the kids who have accommodations, they can be assigned for the test. So like if they get text to speech, read aloud, magnify, or any of those kinds of things, but that might be an admin setting because I don't remember how the accommodations work for this. But once you get all everything filled out on this screen, you're going to come down to select standards. And this is where you're actually going to get your question bank for which questions that you want to use on your test. So, and you'll be able to see how long it takes between screens. So there we go. So once you're here, math, you're good. Fourth grade, we're good. I don't put in a specific standard. I just come down here and I find it. So I'm going to go to fractions, and then you have to find which substandard you want to work on. So here we go, 4.NF7, comparing decimals. So I'm going to click that. If I wanted to use all of my decimal standards, I could pick which one. But I'm just going to focus on this one for the sake of this test. And then you click add to test map. And then you have to wait for it to go to the next screen. So you might have to just fast forward my video until it gets there. All right. And then so schoolnet has 179 possible questions that you could put on the test. I've also found out that some of these are in Spanish. So I'm sure it's in one of the test settings to not do that, but I'm not exactly sure how we do that. But here you're going to put how many of these standard questions do you want on the test? So, I mean, you can do anywhere from 1 to 179, but for this, I'll just do 10. And probably the more you put on, the longer it takes to load. So we'll see how long 10 questions takes. But once you have your assignment created, that's what you have to do before you can go in and schedule it. So once this creates, I'll show you how to go back through and create it. One I did earlier today just finished up here. So that, I mean, it takes a while to actually create it too. But once it is created, it pulls up like this, and you can go through and actually, like, if you don't want this question on the test, you can replace it and so on. But this is what it looks like after you've created it. And this is where you go to actually schedule the test. But I'll get to this part in a second. You can go through and change some of the settings for the test if you kind of just play around with it. I'm not exactly sure how, what all answer choice or what all ways you can customize it, but you can go through and you can see it's got the specific answers already marked. It tells you what standard you're working on and the different types of questions. If you want it, so what I do is a lot of the times when I want to do an EOG review with my kids is you can actually come through and you can preview the test and you can get it as a PDF or a Microsoft Word document. So you can actually just print them out that way. I like to take screenshots and use them on Google Forms or in my teaching slides because it's already, you know, a huge bank of questions that I can use with all kinds of different resources you can use for it. Okay, so I have created this test. It's in my bank. 4.NF7 is the one I'm using. So when you go to actually schedule the test, here's what you have to do. So let's just go back home as if we're starting from scratch. So go to assessments and you're going to find your assessment. So since these are all the ones I've kind of made this year to use for all my different resources, but I just did 4.NF7. So I'm going to click this and it's going to take me back to that test where we just were. Okay, so right now it's just a private draft that I have on my computer, but I need to make this available to the kids. So what you have to do is you have to make it public with this button right here. All right, so this is the public draft. And then I think this is where you could like customize it, maybe play around with the accommodations. I'm not exactly sure on that end if we have all the access to edit their accommodations. But once you finish playing around and your test is good to go and you're ready to schedule it, hit ready to schedule. It says, are you sure? Because the text to speech has to be generated. And then after that happens, you can't go back and edit the test. So then we have to sit here and wait on it for it to be ready to be scheduled. So we'll see how long that takes. Okay, and then so once it's ready, you'll get a notification and you can hit schedule. And then this is where you can decide on like the date window in order to schedule this. So I'll show you on the next screen once this loads. All right, so let's do, so maybe like this Friday, I want my kids to take the test. I don't want to give them a full week to do it. Maybe I'll give them the whole weekend. So 12th to the 14th. And then the score due date, I'm going to put that in like June. So I have all the time in the world to grade it. All right. And then this is where it took me a second to actually figure this out. Assigning to the kids at lab. So I'm not exactly sure what the kids are going to see from the lab front because I've never done this for lab before. But I found if you click select assignment, and then when it gets to this next screen, here we go, is you can pick which classes do you want to schedule it for. So I'm going to click grade 4 because I want all of my 4th graders to take it. So it'll add those classes to it. Hit done. Okay, and then you can kind of play around with some more test settings, share scores with gradebook. If we used the PowerSchool grading, you could upload it straight to your gradebook. Prevent students from launching the test before or after, you can do that. Prevent students from accessing the test until after the end date. If you wanted to do that before, I mean, like, so if you want to have a chance to review it before the kids. Let's see what else we have. So the online test code, I think the students will need this. So I always just name it what I named it for the standard. I don't think you can put like periods or decimals or anything in. So I'll just call it 4.NF7. Let's see what else. If you want to scramble your question order, you can do that. Scramble your answer choices. You can do that. You can put a timer on the test. And you can also show the students their scores after they submit it. I like to do that one just so they know what they made on it and they can ask any questions they might have had. So then you have to save and publish the test. And this is what I have found takes the most time. And then when it is done, you'll get a notification up here at the top that says it is ready to go. Okay, so it says you'll get a notification for that. I did one earlier. So let's see what how that notification reads. I'm going to go to this test. I did 4.NF4 for a different example. So let's see what we have. Okay, so once it is scheduled, yeah, so now I believe it should be accessible to the kids. They would have to go in through their EdCloud, click on schoolnet, and then I think they would have to type in their online passcode. I'm pretty foggy on trying to remember exactly how to do this because I haven't done it since, I mean, it's been several years since I've assigned a test on schoolnet. But I believe the kids would type in their online passcode. So they'd have to put in 4NF4, and then the test would pull up on their computer like this. Um, and then once they complete the test, you can go to like this reporting thing, and it breaks down all the test data that you can see from that way. What else? And I think that's pretty much it until, you know, the kids are done. I guess after the 14th is when we scheduled the test to end. That's when it would mark it as completed. And then you can go through and check out how kids did on it. But yeah, that's pretty much what I remember from how to use schoolnets. Sorry if that wasn't a ton of help. I found on YouTube, they have videos on assigning tests on schoolnet. So I'll put that in the email as well. I'll send you guys. But yeah, I think that's pretty much how you assign a test on schoolnet. But if you have any questions, feel free to email me. I'm not sure exactly how much help I'll be, but I will try to help you where I can. So that is how you somewhat assign a test on schoolnet. Thanks.